Story 1. I'm Jake. I'm 33, and I live in this small town called Brookville in Ohio. It's one of those places where everyone knows each other, or at least pretends to. I've been here my whole life, and yeah, nothing much happens. I work nights at a gas station just off Route 49. Graveyard shift. Alone most of the time. Pretty quiet out here. Not a lot of excitement. But a few months ago, something happened with my neighbor. Something I still don't really understand. And honestly, I don't even know where to begin. I guess it started when... Well, no, before that. Maybe the first weird thing was the coffee. Yeah, that's probably where it started. So this guy, Carl, lives next door. Maybe early 60s. Retired, I think. One night, I was just getting home from work. It must have been around 4:30 a.m. And I saw him out on his porch, just standing there. He waved and called out, "Hey, Jake, long night?" And before I could even answer, he walked over and handed me a steaming cup of coffee in this plain white mug. Said he'd made extra. I don't know. It felt weird. Like, who does that? But I took it, said thanks, and went inside. I didn't drink it. Something about it just bugged me. After that, he started waving at me every night. Same time, same spot. Sometimes he'd just be standing there when I pulled in. No coffee again, but always watching. Always smiling. I don't know. It just got under my skin. A week later, I noticed my back door was unlocked. Now I lock everything. I'm paranoid like that, especially working nights. But it was wide open. Nothing missing. No sign of a break-in. I figured I'd just messed up. Told myself it was nothing. Then little stuff started happening. Things moving. I'd leave my boots by the door and find them in the hallway. My TV remote was in the fridge once. I know how that sounds. I thought I was losing it. Like, full on losing my mind. One night, I was heading out to work, and I saw Carl again. This time, he was on my porch. Just standing there, real casual, like he belonged there. I asked him what he was doing, and he just smiled and said, "Heard something over here. Thought I'd check on you." I didn't say anything, just got in my car and left. When I got home that morning, my bedroom window was open. I hadn't touched it in weeks. And my cat, Milo, he was gone. I called for him all day, checked everywhere. Then I found his collar in the sink, just sitting there, like someone placed it. No sign of Milo. He never came back. I didn't call the cops. I should have. I know. But what do you even say? Hey, I think my neighbor's sneaking into my house and stealing my cat. I wasn't ready for them to laugh me off. That night, I stayed home, locked every door, every window, sat up with a baseball bat, watching. Around 2 a.m., I saw movement outside. Carl, just pacing in front of my house, real slow. He didn't knock, didn't say a word, just walked back and forth for almost an hour. Then he left. I didn't sleep. Next morning, there was a note taped to my door. No envelope, just a piece of lined paper. It said, "You should have drank the coffee." That's it. I lost it. I tore it up, threw it in the trash, and started packing. I was done. But then I heard something upstairs. I live alone. I crept up, bat in hand, heart pounding. Nothing. Every room was empty, except my bed. There was dirt, just like clumps of dirt on the sheets, and a handprint on my pillow. A dirty, smudged handprint. I didn't sleep at home that night. I crashed in my car at work. I told my boss I was dealing with some stuff, and he didn't ask questions. I went back the next afternoon. Everything looked normal until I walked into the kitchen. On the table, there was that same white coffee mug Carl gave me. But I'd thrown it away. I know I did. And inside was a photo of me sleeping in my bed. I moved out that day. Haven't been back since. Last I heard, Carl still lives there. No one believes me, obviously. They say I had a breakdown, or I was overtired, hallucinating, whatever. Maybe they're right. Maybe I imagined it all, but I know what I saw. I know what he did. And I know I'll never drink coffee from a neighbor again. Story 2. When I was 29, I moved into a cramped townhouse in Cincinnati. I couldn't stop smelling fresh drywall mixed with old cooking grease the first morning. My own and everyone else's loosely mingling in the air. I'd drag myself out of bed for work, half distracted by the ticking of the thermostat, the neighbor's leaky sink, the hum of normal life. I didn't know my next-door neighbor at all. We waved once, awkward, short, but that was routine. I hated how the hallway light flickered, how the landlord claimed he'd fix it, but never did. I'd think, it's just wiring. Move on. Until the evening, I smelled something, sweet and coppery. Not smoke exactly, but like iron polished and left to rot. I followed it toward her door. It was slightly open, which shouldn't happen on those spring-loaded hinges. I stared, thought she'd cracked it while sneezing or something, but the smell got stronger. I pressed my ear. Nothing. I couldn't shake that smell. It crawled into my dreams. It was blood, I realized. But from what? The door stayed that way for days. I thought maybe she was sick, slashed a finger. But people don't leave bloody air hanging in the hallway. One night, I woke to a soft scuff scraping sound. Not on the ceiling, but low. I peeked through my peephole. The hallway was empty, except that smell. Worse. I stepped out, tight-lipped and shaking, pulled the door open. The hallway was narrow, darkened by that red stain on the carpet, leading toward her door. It wasn't fresh, granular, like dried rust, miles darker. I almost vomited, went back inside, locked every bolt. I waited hours, convinced a scream would start any second. Nothing. The next morning, there was a yellow chalk outline of a handprint on the door. Just one. Dusty. I tried to scrub it. It wouldn't budge. I stared at it, felt stupid, like maybe it was a prank. Then I remembered a scratched voice. Help me. But I couldn't remember where anymore. Too late. Then I started finding things in my apartment. Scratches on the windowsill, like fingernails. A single tuft of dark hair under the light switch. And once, a smear of dark red across the inside of my bathroom door at dawn. I thought I left it during a dream. Couldn't be. I'm not stupid. I spoke to the landlord. A note. A whisper through the door. He said everything was fine. No major incidents reported. The neighbor, nothing. That pushed me deeper into this panic. I didn't want to leave, but I couldn't stay. I told myself I'd move out the moment I found something tangible. But I stayed. On a night I'd showered late, I caught my reflection in the mirror. I wasn't clean. A flicker, a backward glance, but there was someone there, behind me in reflection, pale and wet. I spun, and the bathroom was empty. The smell was thickest in there. I rushed out, leaving water droplets on the towel. I didn't dry off fully before I bolted to my room. Locked that door too. At 3 a.m., I woke to muffled sobs. Not mine, hers. They came from just beyond the wall, near the ceiling. Tiny, broken, human-sounding. I paced the room, naked, teeth chattering, wondering if I was the monster now. Listening, hysterical, waiting to be next. Next day, I pulled the smoke detector down to silence it, blocked the vents, trying to control everything. I wrote it off. She must have moved on. It had to be temporary, my mind. That evening, I flicked off my desk lamp and thought the hallway looked off. The outline changed. No chalk anymore. Fresh blood, thin trail towards my door. I followed it. It ended in a blotch at my threshold, like a footprint. My head pounded. I could taste bile. I didn't go out for groceries that night. I told coworkers I was sick. I told myself I'd call the cops next day, but couldn't. Something in me was holding back. Fear? Then I heard knocking, soft, deliberate, on my door after midnight. A whisper beyond, please. No sense, just raw emotion. I didn't answer. My hands shook as I slid under the covers, clutching the duvet. Overwhelming, messy thoughts crashing. Is she telling the truth? Is she hurt? Or is this my own reflection? That's when I realized I was the only one hearing it. Morning came. I didn't move for hours. The smell was still there, stronger, metallic. I couldn't tell if it was from her place, or my closet, or within me. I packed a bag, clothes, toothbrush, essentials, but didn't leave. I thought I might just talk to her, apologize for bothering. But I couldn't. I stood in the hallway, breathing heavy, staring at her door. It was closed. No residue, no sign. Her nameplate glinted in the morning light like a mockery. Clean, normal. I backed up slowly, back to my door, the one I'd locked thrice. Behind it was that sound again. Quiet, weeping. I couldn't make it stop. I still haven't moved out. Every night, there's a soft scratch at the wall, and the smell waits as I close my eyes. I don't know what she wants. If she's hurt, or dead, or gone. I don't know if it's her or something else. I don't understand. But the smell lingers like guilt. And the handprint in chalk, or was it, was never cleaned, never completely washed away. I don't think this ends with me leaving. I think it ends with me listening and accepting it stays. I stay, and nothing resolves. Just this unresolved weight of what's next. Story 3. My name's Mark. I'm 31, and I live in a college town in Oregon, Springfield, just outside Eugene. I've lived in a small apartment near campus for about 2 years, sharing the building with just one guy below me. Quiet neighborhood, mostly students. I've never had any trouble, until recently. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but it seemed harmless at first. My neighbor Grant, who lives in the unit below, started knocking on my door randomly. At first, it was polite stuff, asking if the heater worked, borrowing cooking oil, small talk. I told myself he's just friendly. But then the knockings came at odd times. 2 a.m., 5 a.m. Only one knock, no follow-up. I thought maybe he was drunk or sleepwalking. Then subtle things started. I set my shoes neatly by the door each morning. Occasionally, I'd come home and they'd be in the hallway, slightly askew. My coffee mug, plain white with a chip, showed up in the bathroom sink. I never took it there. I didn't think much of it, just blamed myself. One day, I got home to find my apartment unlocked. I'm careful. I double lock the door every time. Nothing was gone, just the lock unlatched. I shrugged it off, told myself I must have done it, but I knew I hadn't. My cat, Crawley, went missing. Not in the whole building, by guess, but from my place. I came home around noon after classes. Door locked, signs normal, no Crawley. I searched, even called downstairs. Nothing. For hours. I found a smear of red on the windowsill. Tiny drop, crusted. I washed it off. Could have been rust? Didn't think I could face the idea it was blood. That night, I stayed up. Tried to piece things together. I remembered reading viral neighborhood horror stories. Structure goes: weird contact, missing pet, sign or note, confrontation, no resolution. I thought, that's my life now. Next day, I confronted Grant. I asked if he'd seen Crawley. He just nodded slowly and said, "Oh, your cat? She scratched at me the other night. I scared her off." That was it. No apology, no sympathy. Just stood there like it was normal. I felt nauseous. I went to the pet shelter, filed a missing report. They said sometimes cats show up after a day or two. I kept waiting. Crawley never came. A week later, I came home from class, and a small envelope was taped under my door. Just one sentence, typed. Should have locked it. No signature. I got shaky, crumpled it up, and threw it away. Didn't sleep. The next detail, scratches on my bathroom door frame. Vertical, thin, about 6 inches tall. I don't have long nails. Neither does Crawley. They were fresh, I stared at them, wondered if someone used nails or something else. I pressed my ear to the door, heard nothing. Could have been imagination. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but those marks were too deliberate. I didn't call the cops yet. I was embarrassed. I felt like an idiot, overreacting to small stuff. But that night, I checked locks again and again. I paced between classes in the morning. I searched online. Viral horror neighbor true stories with notes, missing pets, odd contact signs, and realized the pattern. Then came the real escalation. I came home early one evening, around 5 p.m. I peeked through the peephole before unlocking. Someone was crouched behind my door. I didn't open it. I watched until they stood, jerked upright, and walked off down the hall. It was Grant, his silhouette under hallway light. He didn't knock, just left. Inside, my place looked normal until I got to my bedroom. The lights were off. I flicked the switch. Nothing. I followed the electrical cord that hangs across the room. It was cut. My bedside lamp unplugged. I swear someone hovered near it before I got home. I flipped out, ran downstairs to the hallway to peer into his unit. Nothing. No movement. No lights. I slammed back upstairs and locked the deadbolt. Next morning, I returned to police, told them all of it. I even went to the management office. They said they'd check building cameras. There are none. They said they'd speak with Grant. I felt so exposed doing that. That evening, I got another slip. A paper slid under my door. It read, "You should have woken up." Blood smear on its edge. I dropped it, couldn't clean it, threw it out trembling. I moved out the next day, packed what I could carry, left the rest behind. Crowley's still missing. No one knows where she is. Grant still lives in that building. No charge, no confrontation, no answers. I'm staying at a friend's place now, farther from campus. I look over my shoulder every time. I keep thinking, maybe I overreacted, that maybe Crowley ran off. Maybe the scratches were something else. Maybe I'm remembering wrong. But the note, the envelope, the blood smear, they don't lie. I lost my home, my cat, and I barely escaped something worse. And I know I'll never feel safe near neighbors again, no matter how friendly they seem.